So welcome, everybody. If you are in the room where it happens, you know that this is an admission and financial aid session with professionals from both sides of the desk at Hamilton College, and we're here to welcome our prospective families tonight. We have nearly 500 people, including students and parents and guests who registered, and I asked for a few of the states, so I don't have all the states, but we know we have people from Washington and Ohio and Virginia and Texas and Alabama and Georgia and Minnesota, California, Florida, Puerto Rico, many international students, probably in multiple time zones. So we just want to welcome you all and thank you for spending this time with us this evening wherever you are. It's evening in the Northeast. But this event is called Admission and Financial Aid, advice from the room where it happens. And if you know anything about our favorite founding father, who is now a Broadway sensation, then you might get the joke about the room where it happens. And if you don't know, you can look it up. But A Room Where It Happens is a great song from our favorite musical, Hamilton. And in fact, one of us is in the room where it happens, the magic that is the admission process. And I'll let him tell you about that when he introduces himself. My name is Monica Inzer. I'm lucky enough to be Hamilton's Vice President for Enrollment Management, and I'm joined with two excellent colleagues and experts in their fields for admission and financial aid. And our goal tonight is to demystify the admission process for you as much as we can. We know it can be stressful on the front end, and we spend a lot of time traveling. In fact, I'm zooming in tonight from California, and our financial aid expert is in Massachusetts because we are out and about meeting with prospective families and colleagues and giving advice at schools and events and panels. And so we thought we should do that for our own prospective families via Zoom and provide some of that advice for you through this medium. So here we are for the event. I between the three of us, well, I'll let them introduce themselves and I'll say a little bit more. I'm going to kick it to you, John.
Sure. Thanks, Monica, and welcome everyone to the room where it happens. My name is John McLaughlin, Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management and the Dean of Admission here at Hamilton College. I am here joining you from, in fact, as Monica referenced, the room where it happens. This is our committee room where we gather to review and select the next class of Hamiltonians. And so I'm really proud to represent this great college, really proud to be with some amazing colleagues here on the Zoom, and grateful to all of you, our guests, who decided to spend some time with us here this evening. I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Jan, who will introduce herself.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's so nice to see you all. My name is Jan Schutzow. I'm the Executive Director of Financial Aid here at Hamilton College, and I've been in the financial aid field over 20 years, and I'm so proud to be able to work with this fabulous team to help and serve you and the entire Hamilton community. The favorite part of my day is to help our families through this financial aid process, which could be kind of foreign and scary and complicated, but we are ready and able to help and serve you. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions regarding your financial aid process.
Excellent. Thank you, John and Jan. And as I said, I'm lucky enough to work with these two as the Vice President for Enrollment. And our goal tonight is to answer your questions, talk about admissions, talk about financial aid, give you some advice, hopefully calm down some people who might have a little anxiety on the front end of the process. But at the same time, we hope you get a little more interested in Hamilton. Of course, our lens and our position is at Hamilton, so many answers to questions will be through that lens. But we hope it's helpful for you with your overall admission and financial aid application process and answering questions and helping you, because after all, that's why we do this. So we have one other colleague with us. He's really important because he's behind the scenes and making it all happen in the room where it happens. And his name is Ben Rose. Ben is a Hamilton graduate who's an Associate Dean of Admission. He's not going to come on the screen because he's busily allowing you to come into the room. He's answering your questions. He's monitoring things behind the scenes. So Ben will be giving a shout out, and he is monitoring the questions that you will be submitting. So feel free to use the question and answer feature in the Zoom Ben will be passing us questions. We already got some questions that were submitted in advance, so feel free to use the question and answer, and Ben will pass them to us again and answer some on the fly as well and help us stay on track. So we advertised this event to go from 7 to 8. It could end a little sooner, but it won't end later. I promise we won't go later than 8. Hang with us because we're going to cover a lot of topics and a lot of things that people submitted as questions in advance. We hope to cover, just so you know what's coming, a little bit about making a list and thinking about colleges, how you figure out where you might apply, the application process itself for admission and financial aid. We'll talk a little bit through our policies and stance on financial aid and admission at Hamilton. And again, answer some of your questions as we go as well. Okay, we're going to get started and jump in. So the first question is about fit and applying to colleges. And some of you have great advice and great guidance counselors. Some of you have parents who've been through this process. Others are finding their own way. And we want to be available to you wherever you are. And we want to give some advice that for some of you may feel like you're already down this path, but for others who are starting the process, it may be helpful as well. And at Hamilton, our motto is know thyself. And I think part of this admission process, as you're trying to figure out where you will spend the next 4 years or where you'd like to apply anyhow at this point, you're trying to get to know yourself and who is the person you want to be and what college will most help you become that person. Of course, we don't expect you to know yourself, and so much of that happens in college and beyond. But there is a little bit of thinking about what environment would be helpful for you as you consider where you might apply to college. So, John, I'll start with you. And what do you have advice for students on how they might determine fit if they're visiting or they can't visit, or sources they might use? What advice do you have for students?
Yeah, definitely. And we use this word fit a lot because we find that the students that are the happiest are those who have found institutions that really align with their interests, with their needs, with their wants in terms of what they hope to get out of their college experience. And right now, for all of the students and families that are out there, you are in the process of trying to narrow down that list, 3,000 colleges in the US, many more around the world, to try to find the one college where you'll spend the next 2 or 4 years and beyond. And so really, this is a process that requires a little work on your part, which you're doing, and I want to commend you for being here in this program, exploring other programs, doing your research, trying to understand what opportunities are available to you, how a college can or cannot meet your need, and go through that process of narrowing that list. And to that point, it's equally important to rule colleges out and rule places out as it is to rule places in. So all of this that you're doing right now, through your research, whether it's physically visiting campuses or even through virtual means like programs tonight or virtual tours, virtual information sessions, looking at websites, all of this is in the service of finding the college that's right for you. And while we obviously here are biased in thinking that Hamilton is a great place and a great place for a lot of students, we also acknowledge that it might not be the right place for every single student in the world. And so we encourage you to keep doing your research, keep trying to think about how a college can meet your needs in a way that maybe other places can't, to identify those schools that could be great fits for you.
That's great advice, John. We have a number of international students who are joining us tonight who might not be able to visit on the front end, but are there things they can do and ways they can connect with students or staff members to learn more about Hamilton? I know you talked about virtual events. Are there other ways they might be able to engage with students?
Oh, absolutely. So we mentioned some of the virtual events that we offer, and specifically at Hamilton, feel free to reach out to our admission office at any time. If you express a particular interest, we can connect you with students that share similar interests. And in fact, if you go on our website, you'll see that we have student connections that you can engage with. And I would encourage you, if you're considering colleges beyond Hamilton, which I expect that you are, to reach out to those admission offices as well. And I think you would find a little bit about the character of an institution based on how they respond, how they're able to connect you to different people, different resources, so that you can learn a little bit more about the place. But never hesitate to reach out, and be in touch, ask your questions. That's what we're here for. We in our work as admissions officers, some of it is application evaluation, but a lot of it is application advising, and providing guidance to students and families on the college search process. So we are here for you, and I know that our counterparts at many schools across the country and around the world are here for you as well.
Excellent. One question I want to answer is about the interview. And some schools provide interviews, others don't. Hamilton is a place that does do interviews. We recommend them and we offer them now to students, but they are evaluative at Hamilton. And if you apply, it becomes a piece of your application. So it's not just an informational interview, but it is a two-way conversation. And so if you decide you're interested in Hamilton and you'd like to have a conversation with a staff member or one of our senior fellows who help conduct interviews, we recommend that. We recommend you prepare for it though, so you know enough about Hamilton to be able to answer questions about your interest in the college, but also you would have a chance to ask questions. And most of our interviews are done via video, and so you don't have to visit campus to do that. And we do recommend that. And one of the reasons we do interviews is because Hamilton is a place where relationships matter. It's why we're here tonight. It's the stuff that John was talking about, that we are here for you to answer your questions. And it's why the interviews are an important option. Everyone doesn't have to do an interview, and everyone who's admitted doesn't do an interview for sure. But it is an option for students who'd like to take advantage of that. Jan, sometimes determining fit includes whether or not families can afford the college. Are there ways they can consider that or think about it on the front end of the process before as they narrow down their options?
Absolutely. Yes, we do. Hamilton has two tools actually for our families on our financial aid website under Estimate Your Financial Aid. They're called the My Intuition tool and our Net Price Calculator. So the My Intuition tool is a shorter version of the net price calculator. It only has about 6 questions, and it's just a rough estimate, giving our families a range of what their family contribution would be. Hamilton meets our 100% need of our domestic students, so we have very generous financial aid packages, but we do need to formulate what a family can contribute towards their educational expenses. So these tools will give a family an estimate of their family contribution and what aid they may be eligible for. For a little bit more detailed estimate, I would recommend using our net price calculator. And these are, again, on our financial aid website. The net price calculator asks a few more detailed questions about income, assets, et cetera, and it will give a more tailored, specific family contribution number and aid eligibility.
Okay. And I know, Jan, that if somebody does the net price calculator or the estimator and they have questions after, that you and your team will schedule consults with them to talk it through, talk about unique circumstances. Yes. To help families understand what it might mean at Hamilton, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can save the results of your net price calculator. You can email those over to us. We can schedule a phone call, Zoom, whatever is convenient for our families, just to maybe go through it, confirm that they entered it accurately, et cetera, et cetera. So happy to have those conversations, post those estimates.
Okay, great. We're going to talk more about financial aid in a minute. But first, I want to ask you both, if there are other sources that you recommend to families when people say, you know, where should we go look up information about colleges online? Do you have a favorite guide or source or resource that you recommend for families? John, I'll start with you.
I have some that I probably don't recommend for families. I won't I won't name any names, but I think that there a whole host of different guidebooks and rankings and these things who are in the business of selling, subscriptions or magazines or guidebooks or things, and may not fairly represent what could be a great school for you and a great college for you. And I think that sometimes there's so much focus, too much focus perhaps, on where our school lands on a particular list, when really your specific list for you, may and should look very different from the list that some guidebook generates. So I would really encourage every student, family, supporters to continue this active process of doing research, trying to understand the offerings of different colleges, different universities, what the academic lifestyle is going to be like, what the social lifestyle is going to be like, what the opportunities in college, post-college, the alumni network, all of these factors that come into play in terms of going back to that concept of fit that we talked about. We also would encourage you to make advantage of the resources that are available to you in your school community, knowing that many of you have guidance counselors and college counselors that are there to provide support through this process. At the same time, we also understand that not every school has, every counseling office has equal resources to be able to provide to each and every student. But for those of you that do have college counseling departments, those people are there to help you as well. So feel free to lean on them in this process. And again, just if you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to our office. We're happy to provide you with any assistance along the way.
Yeah, I would add that guidance counselors and counselors at community-based organizations sometimes know prior students they've worked with that have gone to various schools. They might be able to put you in touch with someone from your high school or your community who has looked at a Hamilton or another school you're looking at, and connect you with people from your community. We can do that as well. If you reach out to us, we'll help you connect with someone. But I would lean on them, as John said, when you have someone who is available to you, take advantage of their expertise. I would also say a great resource is our website. Of course, I know you will think, and you are right, that we choose pretty pictures and say the very best things we can about Hamilton, as does every college, in an effort to represent it as positively but accurately and transparently as possible. But our YouTube site is the YouTube channel for Hamilton has so much content. It's so rich in content for alumni, for current students. We have 3-minute theses on our website. We have past admission virtual events, but there's so many things that are out there every day. And I would also follow our social media channels where you just get a sense of the life of the college by following Hamilton. And the admission office is starting up an Instagram called Know Hamilton, KNOW Hamilton, like know thyself, but Know Hamilton. Do I have it right, John?
Yep.
And our students are posting stuff pretty regularly there as well. So we hope you'll follow that and get a sense of student life on campus. Jan, are there any aggregators for financial aid or websites that might be helpful?
I would say beyond the individual school that you're interested in, the federal financial aid website is a good resource just for an overall tutorial on the financial aid world, as far as federal student aid programs that are available, grants, scholarships, loans, work, etc. It has an estimator on there for the new FAFSA SAI index. So if families want to get an idea what if they're eligible for federal student aid, that's a good estimator to use. But it's a host of information. It's pretty dry information, but
yes. but it's a lot of data.
Would be informative.
Is that College Navigator? Is that the federal website? Is that what it's called?
Federal studentaid.gov. Studentaid.gov is the federal.
Okay, studentaid.gov. You heard it here, folks. A little bit dry, says our executive director.
Dry.
But helpful information, and the same formulas or the same tools or the same questions will be asked of each school. So if it's net price or average indebtedness or things like that. So it might be
Mhm.
helpful. Okay, well, let's turn to financial aid a little bit more, because there's a lot of talk about the FAFSA changing, and of course, people applying to college this year, unless they have older brothers and sisters who've been through the process, don't really care what it was like last year, but they do need
No.
to know will these changes impact them? What do they need to know? And so, can you just briefly talk a little bit about the process and what we require, but what's happening on the financial aid front right now, Jan?
Absolutely. Lots of changes for the 24-25 academic year in regards to federal student aid application process. So our students, to begin with the process, our students that are interested in financial aid, our domestic students, we ask that they complete the free application for federal student aid, the federal form, the FAFSA form at studentaid.gov, and the College Board CSS profile. These are two financial aid applications that we request all our financial aid applicants to complete so we can get a complete understanding of the family resources that are available. The FAFSA will indicate the student's eligibility for federal aid, and the profile will indicate the student's eligibility for institutional aid. So we request all these documents and then supporting documents as far as taxes and W-2s later on in the cycle also. For our international students, we require that they complete the certificate of finances that they'll see in their portal. And we ask our international students to complete the College Board CSS profile as well. So these are our two financial aid applications that we require. And the FAFSA is a little delayed this year. So for our domestic students, typically the FAFSA is open October 1. And unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit delayed due to all the changes that are happening in the federal student aid world. So not to panic, we will be able to calculate and estimate your federal aid eligibility from just the profile. And when the FAFSA opens up in late December 23 or possibly January 1, you can complete it then and send it in to us and we will finalize your federal aid eligibility. So definitely no worries on us being able to calculate a complete financial aid package for our ED1 applicants.
Okay, great. Because that's a question we're already getting now. So I'm glad you asked that. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it because I think some of our students want to know what if, and I don't want to get too ahead on the admission application. We'll get there in a minute. But for those who know they want to apply early decision, and will they be able to get an award in December? Our Hamilton, our application deadline is November 15th, and we let students know our decision by December 15th. If they're admitted, will they get an award given the FAFSA is going to be later?
Absolutely. Yes. Again, because our profile is estimating their federal aid eligibility, and we'll confirm that when we actually have the FAFSA after January, but absolutely, we will be able to offer them a complete financial aid offer.
Okay. And the FAFSA is free. It's called the free application for federal student aid.
Right.
How about the profile? Is that free?
There is a charge of $35 to submit the profile to every school that you send it to. But if that is a challenge, just reach out to our office. We are able to assist families that have that may seek a profile waiver.
Okay. And other colleges can do that as well, right?
Yeah, just contact the financial aid office.
Okay. And
if I can interject one quick plug about FAFSA, something, Jan, that I've learned from you is to dissuade families from going to FAFSA.com, which is an official looking site that will, after you fill out the information, will charge you to submit the FAFSA. You don't need to use FAFSA.com. Use the federal website.
Yeah. I can't agree more, John, because we're so used to going to .com for everything, and for the federal aid application, you need to go to studentaid.gov. And frankly, all the federal sites to apply for a PLUS loan or submit an application, it's usually a .gov website, official federal government website. But the .com, there is such a site called FAFSA.com, and unfortunately, it's a paid service, and you don't want to be there.
Okay. See, I learned something new. This is good. Thank you both.
Yep.
There's a lot of conversation about siblings attending college because the Department of Ed has changed how FAFSA is going to interpret that. And there's
Yes.
been a lot written about it. What is our take on that, Jan?
Well, just on a high level, the FAFSA Simplification Act is changing a lot of the federal student aid application and methodology and questions, et cetera, et cetera. One of those changes is that the federal student aid is no longer considering multiple siblings in college at the same time, or sibling discount, as some people refer to. But I'm happy to say that Hamilton is still considering that expense. We understand it is an expense for families to have multiple children in college, and we're honoring that. So although the FAFSA may not show an impact on the family contribution for that change in 24-25, not to worry. Hamilton is embracing that and understanding that and taking that into consideration. So you should not see an impact with that change.
Great, great. Thank you for making that clear. We are getting some questions about students who have divorced parents. How does that impact them for applying for aid?
Well, again, as I mentioned, Hamilton is seeking all available resources as the family unit, and their support for this child going to college. So we do require our non-custodial parents to complete the CSS profile.
Yeah.
And then we will use that information combined with the custodial parent FAFSA and profile information to calculate a total family contribution, including student income and assets and custodial parent and non-custodial income and assets that are available to support the child.
So I know from working with you and working with financial aid for years that really we are trying to look at all the resources available to a student, whether it's one parent, two parents, some students remarried, to see what resources are available so that we can support students, make up the difference between what Hamilton costs for our tuition, room, board, and estimated expenses and what families need. And our average award is over $50,000, and we're spending this year $55 million in financial aid. So while it sounds like we're collecting a lot of information so that we can see what people can afford, that is the reality. And there are a lot of people who need help. And we're collecting this so that we can figure out how to help them. And that is something that we care about a ton. We're completely committed to. Hamilton meets 100% need, as Jan mentioned, and we do that for all 4 years. But does that mean, Jan, can you make clear for families that they need to apply every year?
Yes, they do. Yes, we will stand firm by our commitment to meet their need every year, but they do need to complete these 2 applications every single year so we can analyze their true demonstrated need.
Yeah. And some people have more need. We see a lot of hardship. We see people who have job changes or end up with 2 in college one year and 1 the next, or the other way around. And so we know financial situations for families change from year to year, and we want to support them accordingly.
Exactly. And that's when you reach out to our office if there has been a change in circumstance. You know, the FAFSA and the profile are asking income from prior year. So we understand that that's income from 2 years ago, and life can change. So if it has, that's when we ask our families to have a conversation with us and share what is currently going on and see if we can offer any further assistance.
Yeah. And I just want to put in a plug for you, Jan, and your team, because they are so committed to supporting our students. The ones who we admit, who we work with throughout the process and try to work with their families to help understand their situations and be as generous as we possibly can. But when students enroll, we work with them closely in lots of ways. It's not just a once a year financial aid award. Sometimes people have things that come up, and we have ways we support students and help them. You have FAFSA completion workshops and financial aid open office hours across campus. And so I know how committed you are to supporting our families.
Thank you.
I want to put in a plug also for Hamilton's commitment to being a school that, in addition to meeting 100% need for all 4 years, is need blind in admission. People think this is a financial aid policy, but it's actually an admission policy. It means that a family's ability to pay or not pay Hamilton's listed fees will not be a factor we consider when we're making admission decisions. So there are schools that meet 100% need, but when they run out of money, they run out of admission spots for people who need money. And at Hamilton, our board of trustees and our alumni have given lots of money for financial aid. A significant portion is endowed. The school has been has a long-standing reputation as a school of opportunity and a place that wants to make Hamilton available to those deserving students, regardless of their family's ability to pay. And so our policy is to admit the most qualified students that we can find for the college. And we're going to talk about that process in a minute, regardless of their family's ability to pay, and then meet 100% of their need. We are doing this for our domestic students who are US citizens. Unfortunately, we can't do it for our international students, but I'm happy to report that our international students we're very generous with as well. We meet 100% demonstrated need, and a significant percentage, I would say nearly half of our international students are receiving need-based financial aid, and about half of our students overall at the college are receiving need-based financial aid.
Absolutely.
Monica,
John?
if I can just
Yeah.
kind of connect a couple of themes. We began by talking a little bit about fit and things to consider, and just hearing you and Jan reflect upon the financial aid policies here brings up this notion that we touched on briefly, but it's very real, financial fit too, which is a very real and honest consideration when thinking about the investment that a student and a family will be making in their higher education plans. And as you do your research, not only trying to understand, does this school offer the academic program that I'm interested in? Do they have the clubs that I'm interested in? But having real conversations about potential costs, savings, how this is going to work from a financial fit perspective is also really important. Monica and Jan summarized all the policies that we have at Hamilton that ensure that Hamilton can be a financial fit for all families, but that's may not be the case at every school that's out there. So as you do your research and try and understand what different schools can offer, both in the classroom and on their campuses, having real conversations throughout the process, before applying, during applying, before those offers come through, about potential costs and what that may mean is really important.
Excellent point. Thank you. And it reminds me that I also would like to say that everybody should care about attending a school that provides access to students from a wide range of backgrounds. We hear from many of our students who don't require financial aid, who want to attend Hamilton because they want to be at a place where everybody who is admitted earned admission and is not there because their family can pay, that their roommate and their classmates and their teammates are all there because the admission office believed they belonged at Hamilton, and then provided the resources to make it possible. And I think this is a generation of students who care deeply about equity and inclusion, and we're creating and supporting that kind of environment at Hamilton.
Correct.
Okay, we want to move on to the admission application process a little bit. And as a warm up to that, I want to talk about standardized testing, because this is the time of year when students are talking about testing, and it has become status quo for most colleges to be test optional, Hamilton among them. But John, can you talk a little bit about that? What does optional mean? What is Hamilton's stance? And what do we recommend for students and families who are approaching this and trying to think through it?
Sure, and there's a lot of questions around standardized testing, how it's used, the optionality of it. And so at Hamilton, when we say we're test optional, what we mean is we don't require students to submit the SAT or the ACT along with their applications to Hamilton. We are in the information business, and so we're trying to make the best decisions that we can, and any information that you provide to us can be helpful. As it pertains to testing, the choice around whether to submit or not to submit is ultimately a personal decision. And the advice that I give, we get this question a lot, and the advice that I give to students and families as they're thinking this through themselves is to To think about the tests, think about the scores. If you feel that it reflects your ability, well, then by all means, send those scores to us. We'll be happy to consider them. Regardless of whether those scores are or are not in your application, we have a whole bunch of other information at our disposal with which to assess a student's academic preparation and readiness to come to Hamilton and succeed and thrive. What I will say is that if testing is not part of that, the margin of error in other parts of the application gets a little narrower. So push more of the burden on the transcript, on recommendations, on other things, for us to get a sense of confidence beyond a reasonable doubt that this applicant is someone who is academically prepared, is going to come, hit the ground running, succeed, and thrive on our campus. So ultimately, the choice is yours. If you feel that it reflects your ability well, by all means, include it. But know that we've got a lot of information at our disposal to consider a student's academic preparation and fit with Hamilton.
Terrific. That's great advice. I made a mistake in jumping right into testing, I realize, and I probably should have said the single most important component of an admission application is the transcript and the academic record and the courses students have taken, how much they've challenged themselves, how well they've done within whatever curriculum is available to them, the trends of their grades. And so all of that matters more than testing. Testing helps us understand their potential to thrive. The record shows how much they have, what they've taken advantage of, and it's much more important to us. But as you said, John, if we have testing, it's another piece of information that can be very helpful and can be positive. It can help point to somebody's ability and sometimes some untapped potential, or it could support what someone's doing. And other ways, if we don't have it, the academic record becomes even more important, and the rigor that students have taken on. Okay, so let's move now into the application. So students are starting to fill it out. The applications have been available since early August. Hamilton's application is live. We will accept the common application or the coalition application. And for some students, they will submit a QuestBridge application. Do we have a preference, John, on any one type of application that we recommend?
No preference whatsoever. We're just happy that you decided to include Hamilton in your potential plans. We know that there may be regional differences. There are some state systems which exclusively use the coalition application or common application, and you may be more inclined to use one or the other. Or if you're applying as a QuestBridge applicant, certainly you can use the QuestBridge application as well. We have no preference for any particular platform. Just happy that you've chosen to apply to Hamilton.
Okay. And if a student is applying to Hamilton through any one of those applications, which I agree with everything you've said, Hamilton has some optional supplements that people can do, and they can access them through any of those application choices. Can you talk a little bit about those and who we recommend them for?
Sure. So if you're applying through the common application or the coalition application or the QuestBridge application, you're going to fill out a lot of questions that form the basis of your application to not just Hamilton, but many schools that accept that application for admission. Many schools, including Hamilton, offer a couple of supplemental questions, which are really the opportunity for us at Hamilton or another school to really get a better sense of who you are and what your interests are, and why specifically you're interested in studying here at Hamilton in this case. When you're applying using the common application, for example, as you're filling out the common application and you move on to the Hamilton questions, you'll have the opportunity to answer those questions when you're submitting your application, your common application. Alternatively, you can submit your common application and then subsequently answer those questions on the Hamilton College application portal, which if you're ready to answer those questions when you submit your application, go for it. But if you prefer to answer them on the portal, you're welcome to do so. And when I say questions, we've got a couple of short answers. We're really trying to get, as I said, better insight into who you are as a person, the way in which you'll contribute to our community, the way in which you'll benefit from our community, and really why you're interested in joining Hamilton specifically. Also a great place for you to share insight into any not just interests, but potentially talents that you have. If you're thinking of something in the arts, for example, if you wanted to submit a portfolio, that would be a pathway to do so. So these supplements are a great way for both us at Hamilton, but many colleges and universities that ask a few additional questions to get a better sense of you and a better sense of why you're interested in our college or university.
Yeah. And I always recommend, if you think these things could help you, that you should do them. This is your chance to present your best self to your colleges, and certainly at Hamilton. We read everything you send us. We spend a lot of time with your application. We know you spend a lot of time on it. And back on the fit question, you're trying to assess what is the place where you can thrive, and we're trying to determine who to invite to join our community, who's going to enrich it and take advantage of everything we offer. And so the more information you can give us, the more helpful that is. So we recommend it. Don't go overboard, and don't send us, every piece of information you can think of, but things that would be really helpful that answer the questions that we ask, or are ways that you can put your best self forward. We recommend that. And along those lines, the essay is really important. Supplemental essays or the main essay. Students have a chance to have a voice at the table. There's a lot of things in the application that at this point, there's a lot you can't do. The courses you've taken, the challenge you've had, the grades you've earned, maybe even your test scores at this point. But your essay is a voice. It's something that's a little different. It's your opportunity to say something to us we might not learn elsewhere in your application. And Hamilton's a school that really values writing. And we're not grading this as a paper, but we are looking for voice and authenticity and a way to get to know you a little bit better. And so we'll spend time with this, and we recommend that you spend time doing it. And in fact, we've done some essay writing workshops. Maybe some of you have attended them. We send writing tips, and if you go on our website, you will find essays that worked. We pick out a few favorite ones every year and put them up on the website so you can get a sense of what grabs our attention, and hopefully it gets the creative juices flowing for you as well.
Monica, if I can just double, triple, quadruple down on those points, and in particular the value of the essay and it being an opportunity for the students to really speak to us in this process. And we're humbled by the fact that we have so many strong academic students in our applicant pool, strong grades, great transcripts, solid test scores, that quite often what distinguishes all these strong students from one another are the things that make you you. There's a lot of people presenting transcripts with grades and courses. There's only one you writing that one essay. Trying to illustrate how Hamilton can help you achieve your goals in a way that no other place can, that unique combination of Hamilton as an institution and you as an individual. And every single one of these questions, is we ask for a reason, and is an opportunity for you to share a little bit more about yourself with us. So we encourage you not to miss that opportunity when it's presented to you in our process. And I think, speaking on behalf of some other colleges, they would probably agree in terms of their supplements as well.
Great. I think that's excellent advice. I think we're spending a lot of time talking about what the students submit to us, and now I want to spend a little time talking about how we evaluate it. And I know that every application at Hamilton is read by at least 3 people, sometimes 4, 5, 6, maybe seen multiple times as it works through our process. We're incredibly thoughtful, and we never take anybody's interest for granted. We want to spend time and make sure we're careful readers, we're good readers. In addition to looking at the transcript and the essays and all the supplemental components that are optional that we've talked about, we're looking at the context in which a student lives and learns, and trying to understand what's available to them, what they've taken advantage of. And context matters. Understanding the school that a student attends and what might be available, for example. So I want to reassure people that you don't have to check every single box to get admitted to Hamilton, because we're going to understand what is available to you. We're going to understand the environment. We're going to understand if you have family responsibilities and may not be able to join as many clubs. Those are the types of things we're going to take into consideration if you share the information with us. So that does go back to you providing information that helps us make good, informed decisions and understand the environment from which you're coming. All of what I'm talking about with reading for context and evaluating your application fully is often described as holistic admission. For a long time, I haven't liked that word because I think it's overused in the admission process, and admission officers will often say, well, there's not one reason people get in, we use holistic admission, and families think that that's an excuse. But in fact, it is a good explanation for why sometimes admission decisions don't make sense, because there's so many things we're looking at. And the hardest part of our job is figuring out who not to take, because we have so many qualified candidates and we are evaluating all of these components. So I don't know if that makes people feel better or worse, but I want them to understand how seriously we take the responsibility of evaluating applications, how important the information is to us, how much we respect every candidate, and that we evaluate them within the context of what's available to them and what they've done with what's available to them. That was not a question, John. It was a long warm up, but I'd like you to comment on it, and if you have anything to say about the way we evaluate applications, I'd love to have you chime in.
Sure. I've been working in this field for 15 plus years. It's remarkable to me how human this process is. The time and energy that students, applicants invest in this process is reflected by the time and energy that we put into this process, trying to understand so many different lived experiences from applicants all across the country and all around the world. And you referenced this, Monica, that our process at Hamilton is iterative. So by the time we're admitting a student, that's a student that we have reviewed and discussed again and again and again. We're really excited at that moment to extend those offers, and we can't wait to meet those individuals in person if we've not met them, had the opportunity to meet them before. And so, you know, this process, which I think is sometimes reduced to numbers and stats and sound bites, is still very much remarkably human. And if nothing else, I hope that some of this exercise tonight shows the humanity of the process, the people, some of the people behind the process, trying to guide and support students while trying to shape the future of the college that we represent.
Excellent. And I know, Jan, the same could be said about the financial aid process. Even though it's numbers and formulas, as we were saying earlier, you develop relationships with people. You see them through some difficult times. You understand complex situations. And you're keeping up with us as we're assigning decisions to applications. The financial aid office is working along beside us, trying to catch up and make sure that we have packages ready to go for when we mail out our decisions and go live with our decisions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We understand it's a very personal and private, information sharing that families are just relaying to us. So we take that with great protection and privacy and stuff like that. But we are here for our families to navigate and support them through this process, and understand that we're working with their most two important things in their life, their child and their money. So we are here to help them through that process and answer any questions. And there's no stupid financial aid question at all. Please just contact us and we will help you navigate through this process.
Excellent. At the beginning of when we were getting ready before everybody came on, we said we really hope to convey to families that there are human beings on the other side of your application who care. That doesn't mean we can admit everybody that we'd love to, believe me, but it does mean that we're going to be really careful and thoughtful and compassionate, and that we hope that you'll trust us. We hope that you understand that that admission officers are working hard for you and financial aid people are working hard to help you. And we hope that you get that sense from tonight. Okay, I gotta get back to say that again, Jan.
I said a few of us on the call have gone through this process, so we understand and we can relate. So
absolutely. We're going to get to the parents in a minute, and we're quickly running out of time. So a couple quick questions that I want to get in that are a little more nitty gritty. Early decision. This is the season coming up. We're almost a month away from early decision. John, who do you think should apply early decision?
Yeah. So first, operationalize key term early decision. It's a binding program, so it's for students that know 100% that Hamilton is where you want to be. We have an early decision 1 plan. You apply by November 15th. You hear back in mid-December, and if you're admitted by the sweatshirt, we will see you in the fall. You're coming to Hamilton. You can be deferred as well. That's another possible decision, in which case your application is put into the regular decision pool and then reconsidered in the spring. Or you can be denied in the early decision round as well. And if you're deferred or denied, you're released from that binding agreement, so you're free to consider all the other options that are available to you. So that's early decision 1. We do have an early decision 2 plan, which becomes available in January, so a little bit later of a timeline, but it's that same binding commitment. So early decision, it's for those students that know, if you are 2 weeks from now, you're still having kind of flashback memories to this great session, and the Hamilton soundtrack is playing in your ears, and you just find $10 bills in your wallet, and the universe is saying apply to Hamilton, then maybe ED is right for you if it's your tippy top choice. If Hamilton is one of many good choices, then apply regular decision. That's what regular decision is there for as well. We preserve a large portion of the class for students that are applying through regular decision. And it's really, it enriches the fabric of our community to have a large portion of students for whom Hamilton was unabashedly their tippy top choice, joined by a large portion of students for whom Hamilton was one of many choices. And so we, like I said, are appreciative of your interest in whatever pathway it may be, but for those who know that Hamilton is your top choice, ED is a great option. And I'll add that sometimes the binding nature of early decision raises questions around financial aid and what does that mean. And our financial aid in ED is just as good as it is in regular decision, meeting 100% of demonstrated need blind in the manner that Monica described. So we don't want finances to be an obstacle for early decision if Hamilton is your top choice.
Yep, John, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I just wanted to share and add that your aid package will be the same as an ED1 applicant compared to a regular applicant, because we're meeting need. We don't offer merit money, and so your need will be the same.
And we provide our awards with our acceptance letters if everything's in on time.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yes. So, and that doesn't mean FAFSA. For early decision, right. We're going to be able to do awards with the profile, but meet our deadlines. for the required materials that are available to you.
Exactly. You will be able to make an informed decision.
Great. Okay. All right. We're running out of time, but a really important question came up. I wanted to talk about this anyway, but one of our folks pointed out that today is World Mental Health Day. I've seen this a lot on social media myself today. And one of the questions we were going to ask and make sure we talked about is curtailing anxiety for parents, for students in the process, because this can be incredibly stressful. And so I want to, so be thinking, I'm going to talk a little bit first, but be thinking about what advice you would have for students and parents around this. I will say that I am reading a book right now called Never Enough: When Achievement Culture Becomes Toxic and What We Can Do About It. And I recommend it. I was listening to some podcasts around it on the plane today, and I'm reading it. And I think it's important for families to think about the pressure that they put on this process. Sometimes people are more prepared for the college admission process than they are for college. And we really need to step back and think about fit and thriving and happiness. And parents have a role in that as well. And so our students, I'm so proud of this generation that has been through so much with the pandemic, and they have demonstrated they are resilient, they are persisting, they are excited about their futures. Maybe they are stronger because of what we've all been through over the last few years. We're certainly seeing that in their applications, and they give me a lot of hope. So I know our students are going to be okay, including the ones who don't get admitted to Hamilton, because they're going to apply to other colleges, and they're going to have tremendous options. Again, the hardest part for us is figuring out who not to take, because we have so many tremendous candidates. So I'm encouraged, and I hope they are as well. They will get through this process like many before them. And for seniors on the call a year from now, you'll wonder what the fuss was all about once you get to the other side. Jan and John, do you have some advice and wisdom around this topic in particular as we get ready to wrap up here?
Monica, you said it so beautifully. Just kind of echoing a couple of points that the admissions decisions, whatever they may be, are not a reflection of you, the student's self-worth or potential. Monica said the hardest part of our work is saying no to so many incredible, talented students, and the way that we sleep at night is recognizing that because those students are so talented and so wonderful, we know that our inability to offer them admission means that another school will be better for their presence and being members of their community. A note to the parents, on the note about anxiety and things. Recognize that your students will look to you for how to react and respond to these decisions, including potentially disappointing decisions. And so if you are showing frustration or disappointment, that's something that I think that your students may feel and respond to or internalize. So be mindful, be a cheerleader and be a supporter, but let your students know that they have your love and support, whatever outcome may come.
And if I may add, Monica, just from a parent role in the financial aid process, invite your students to engage in the process, because a lot of times they'll take the lead as a returning student working with our office directly. So invite them from day one and include them in the conversations and let them learn through this process of this is a financial investment that they can understand and participate in.
Excellent. I agree. Like letting students be a part of that conversation and listening to them too. I think sometimes parents want to lead so much because we're used to doing that, and we want to parent our way through this, but we need to listen to our students. So if you're sitting around saying things to your kids like, don't you think Hamilton is perfect for you? Even though I think it may be, and Hamilton is a pretty special place, it sounds like there's only one possible answer to that question. And so it needs to sometimes come from the students as well, and you need to listen. That's probably a good note to end on. Thank you, Jan and John, for demonstrating all that I think is so special about Hamilton. Thank you to the families who stuck with us for an hour. You've been wonderful. We're so impressed with so many people coming out to learn about the process, and we hope you got some good advice tonight. We hope you'll stay interested in Hamilton. You'll visit us virtually or in person if you can. Good luck with your applications. Keep the questions coming. We will be available to you after this event. And we wish you all the best with your college admission process. Thanks again. We're gonna sign off now. Ben's putting a final word in the Q&A. Thank you once more, and we'll make this event available on our site after. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much.